Hi class, welcome to your diet debate. Here I want to explain how this will go. This will be a 2-week assignment, kind of similar to Forks Over Knives. Here is a list of your supplies. So here is the assignment, here is the discussion board, and here are all of the material that you're going to be studying. And so why is this important? We have spent the semester really discussing why it's important that we're putting nutritious food in our body and evaluating what we eat for its nutrient content and really looking at, are we meeting our physiological needs? Are we overdoing it in some areas and underdoing it in other areas? Which might lead you to believe that I am a big fan of restrictive diets. I am not. And so I think a great follow-up to this is actually talk about what I actually believe to be accurate is more the anti-diet culture and looking at ways in which perceptions of food and the industry and the value that we place on an ideal body weight have really disrupted people's ability to eat food in a healthy way and to be able to make decisions that separate food from image from health. And so this is what we are going to be discussing. And so I have step one right here, and I think step one is really important. First off, I want you to really realize that this sounds like a girl problem. This is not a girl problem. The gender is really irrelevant to this issue. Most people report that they are dissatisfied with the way they look, whether they are too thin, too tall, too short, they want bigger breasts, they want a smaller butt, they want curly hair, whatever it might be. And so this step one is actually really important because I really want you to consider what a life might be like if you were just happy with exactly how you were, and to think that something had to be altered in your appearance in order to feel good. And then in this DB, I put all of your information right here. And I really want you to consider these questions and thoughts. This is a thoughtful discussion board as much as it is slightly research-based. I want you to include Chapter 10 in your writings because I think that Chapter 10 also brings to light a lot of important theories around metabolism and understanding that undereating actually slows metabolism, understanding set point theory and genetic base for metabolism, and looking at that as related to a culture that says there's really only one way to be. And so for your original post, you're going to read through all the information I've given you. You're going to start with this little 15-minute TED Talk, and then I've provided you some information. Now, this is by no means all the information available. This is a dietitian I really like, and I follow a lot of her work. And part of your discussion board is to discuss health at every size and separating out what is health versus fat versus physiological disorder, and looking at atypical anorexia as it's become far more prevalent and prominent, especially in our society that really supports being on a diet and restrictive eating. And then some stats that just really look at eating disorders in general. Because I think one of the things we're taught to think is that eating disorders are really prevalent in a certain type of person. It's a psychological disorder, which it is. It's listed to DSM-4, DSM-5, and that anorexia only is this really thin, or bulimia, and these are very extreme cases. When in fact, if we pull the extremes out and we bring it back into a normalcy, you can find that a lot of people have disordered eating, and especially with atypical anorexia or atypical eating disorders generally really fall into line to a lot of what society is rewarding for. Being very restrictive in your eating, counting your calories, eating only healthy food, quote unquote. And so that's why I've provided you that information. You are going to do some research on your own. And so keep in mind your original post needs to include 2 research articles, and you're going to actually discuss the studies that you looked at to elaborate on your original post. Your peer responses. You need to respond to at least 4 people, ideally with differing posts, and really look at that dialogue. Do you agree? What do you share? The key here is that your responses need to demonstrate complexity of thought and understanding of the material and understanding of Chapter 10. As usual, it would not be good enough to say, wow, Sally, I totally agree with you, because that's just mindless, and I'm looking for complexity. Keep in mind, this discussion board is a sensitive discussion board. Many of you may have no feelings on this at all. I actually know a majority of you are going to have strong feelings about this. And so keep in mind, participate in this discussion board to your comfort level, and know that you do not have to express anything that you feel uncomfortable expressing. The other thing is, and keep this in mind, everyone's going to approach this differently. And so there's not a wrong way to approach it. That's, as I said, that is kind of the point. The point is there's something really broken here, and I don't know the solution for it. I am sincerely hoping that if I teach enough of this, my daughter's life will be different than how I was raised, which I was raised to believe how I looked was one of the most important things that could happen. It turns out my brain was actually what was important. And so I really want you to remember that everyone's going to approach this dialogue differently. And the other thing is, if there is any level of shame or condemnation within the discussion board, I will pull your discussion board and I will automatically fail your assignment. This is not the place for that. All right, have fun with this one. I'm excited for you, and I think it's going to be great.